Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. We might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she's never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive part, whether he can issue The president's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would
can't?
Be a gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, J.B. Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, Jamie Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt. Or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
Jamie
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he
about
get a pardon
this.
also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that
the
committee?
seeking of pardons is...
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. Are you going to condemn that pardon?
You know, Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Stably, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only PDawgKnight.
Holy moly, do I have a lot of stuff today. We'll see how much we get to. I was going to do some videos today, but we'll see. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. What's going on here? Oh, that's weird. Anyway, hi. How y'all doing? Happy Thursday. Post-hump day blues, but pre-Friday joy. Anyway, how y'all doing? It's a good day for me and everybody else that I can think of, except for maybe some of the Democrats. They don't know what to do right now. They don't know what to do. I'll explain it later. Anyway, let's say hi to everybody and get it going. Because like I said, I got a ton of stuff open. We'll see how much we get to. First, the chat today, of course, the one and only Avocados Diabli. Who gets the bell? Yeah! All right. Also, good morning to the Pope, Pope Tyrannus the Third, the Blessed Lich. I mean, blessings of the holy dead, my children. What does that mean? Wow. And Miss Wild Wolf's here. Good morning, Renee Mayette. Hi, Resolute Germ. Balin Bobby back. Nice to have you back. My favorite Canadian Jaeger ponies here. Mike Savage. Blarg. Willie is in the chat. And what is this? I don't know what that means. And then whatever. So stop being late yourself and you'll get more done. Well, you know, I don't make my work schedule. When we have shit to do, we have shit to do. And it's just how it is. And I don't set up the show the night before because I really don't know what I'm going to talk about until I look at everything in the morning. But, you know, we'll get to it. Where is everybody? Well, I guess it takes a while for people to get into the chat. 13 people, 4 likes. That's lame. Come on, hit the damn like button. And I have time to kill because I want more people here. So we'll just do our thing and see how far we get. Let's go to the holidays because, you know, that's fun. That's fun stuff. That's good filler. Thanks to everyone who's sharing the show, though. But hit that link at the top of the chat, wherever the chat is in your eyes. And what else? Anything else? Yeah, do that. All right, let's do this. Let's get this show on the road. Let's start with holidays. The holidays today, I'm just bringing out the whole calendar because every once in a while I don't have time to pick one. Today's National Chocolate Chip Day. Oh, I might have to bake some damn cookies. I love me some chocolate chips, and especially when they're in cookies. But looks like here, National Chocolate Chip Day, they got it in ice cream. Bake a delicious treat or buy your favorite chocolate chip goodies to celebrate. I can celebrate that. Hello, Darren Root. What's up? International Family Day. Does that mean you have to have an international? I got quite the international family if you think about it. My parents that I grew up with, born citizens of the United States, and then my extended family, including my birth mother, who's almost nearly 100% Irish, although she's an American too. My Nigerian father, my Taiwanese sisters, my Nigerian sisters, my Filipino son-in-law. I got a Filipino aunt. I got a Japanese aunt. I got my family is like the international everything. So yeah, is that what they meant by? Oh, they didn't mean that. Why are you killing my buzz over there? Also, bring flowers to someone day. Hey, brighten someone's day. Nylon stockings day. Oh, damn. Nylon stockings. As opposed to what? Silk, I suppose? I don't know. Today's coffee, by the way, is brought to you by the Greyhound Bus Museum in Hibbing, Minnesota. Greyhound Bus Origin Center. Did you know that there's a Greyhound Bus Museum? Because that's where it started, in Hibbing, Minnesota. The first route was from between an 8-mile route between Hibbing and Alice. Just some guy owned that car. Oops, let me put it in the camera. He owned that car, and people wanted to know. They wanted to know what it was like riding in a car, so they asked if they could get a ride, back and forth to Alice, which is 8 miles away. And he's like, well, I suppose, but I'll do it for a quarter. And he started driving people between Alice and Hibbing, which were two mining towns up in the Iron Range in Minnesota up north. And eventually that became a business where he was just giving so many rides. He's like, hey, if I build a bigger bus, I will be able to, do this as a living. So he took a flatbed truck, he converted it into a bus, and the rest is history. That's how Greyhound bus line started. So anyway, also why is it still World Facilities Management Day? Is that every frickin' day? I could see if they said it's World Facilities Management Week, but God, these people. It's also, it's Straw Hat Day. I own a straw hat. I should wear that today. International Kangaroo Care Awareness Day. I suppose that's important down in Australia. But you know what? What's weird is that's not a kangaroo. That's a child. Where'd they get this picture? Wait, do you even see that yet? What's up with this? That's not a kangaroo. These people are weird. And then National Employee Health and Fitness Day. So if you're at work, go in that room with the treadmill and take a walk. Or just go outside and walk during your lunch break. That's your health fit. Take a healthy lunch to lunch and whatever. All right, enough of the holidays. Shall we move on? Yeah, shall. I don't have a celebrity birthday, so we're going to skip it. But I do want to note that Pete Rose is trending. Good morning, Amazing Disgrace is in the house. Pete Rose is trending because I don't know what you think about this. Pete Rose apparently has been reinstated in baseball. Now, Pete Rose has been dead for several years, but this makes him eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame, which I think is incredibly long overdue. Yes, he had his little gambling scandal, but one of the great players in baseball, and especially since the fact that if you turn on a baseball game today, it's very likely sponsored by FanDuel. It's probably time to lift the lifetime ban. So anyway, the lifetime ban from employment in baseball, which was appropriate for Pete Rose, but the Hall of Fame should never have been connected to that. He should have been in decades ago. Damn right he should have been. So now the Cincinnati Reds are actually having a Pete Rose night. Someone here says Pete Rose did nothing wrong. He was just a man way ahead of his time. MLB partners with a half a dozen gambling websites and makes millions playing their ads during games. People put money on his team to win, and none of his bets ever impacted the outcome of a game. He should be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, and still to this day, the all-time hits leader, and won 3 World Series. Major League Baseball did him dirty by not lifting the ban while he was alive. Here's to you, Charlie Hustle, hoping you are killing it on the baseball diamond in the sky in the afterlife. So there you go. He never bet against his team. He always, yes, he bet on baseball, but he always bet on his team to win. But they banned him from baseball. And one of the great back in the 70s, man, Pete Rose was the shit. I'm just saying, he was the shit. Oh, good morning to my on my honorable list of favorite Canadians, Special Can Acids in the house. Good morning. All right, that's why Pete Rose is trending. Next, Superman is trending. There's a new Superman movie out, and there's the trailer and all that stuff that goes with new Superman movies. The trailer actually looks like it could be pretty good, although interesting kind of plot twist. They're kind of making him out to be a pariah for part of the movie, a vigilante type person. At least from the trailer, that's what it looks like. And so people are discussing that. Good morning also. Blue-Eyed Scream. Let's see. But this is directed by James Gunn too. And it's pretty interesting. At this point, I'm just glad Superman isn't black and Lex Luthor isn't a lesbian. Oh. Well, I wouldn't care if it was Superman was black, although, that's not how he pictured him. But let's see. Here's Matt Walsh. I know I'm definitely not the target audience here, but is this what people want out of Superman film? The first half of the trailer is Lois Lane nagging him while he frantically explains himself to her. Well, I'm not going to play the trailer because I know that for some reason that kind of stuff gets you in trouble, even though it's a trailer. You'd think that the movie would not copyright a trailer. But anyway, I have a link to the trailer here. I watched it. It actually looks like it could be pretty good, but it's kind of one of those things. Superman's like all powerful, right? So they have to come in with villains that are also as powerful or maybe more powerful or whatever than Superman. And I don't know, it almost defeats the purpose of Superman. It's well, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, there's a whole lot of other people that show up in this movie, and you'll just have to watch the trailer yourself. I'm not going to play it. Resolute Germ, new Superman looks gay. No, I don't know. I actually thought it looked pretty good. Look, I think the DC Universe movies kind of are bad anyway. They're also dark, and I think they made this one a little bit lighter, I guess. But they found someone who could actually arrest Superman, which I don't know. It kind of defeats the purpose of being Superman if someone could beat you up. Anyway, let's move on. Enough about that. Let me thank the people who shared the show. Let's go back to that real quick. Thank you, everyone who has been sharing the show, including, as I scrolls in here. Whoa, what's that? I don't know who that is. Let's see, starting right here. Oh, there we go. Start with Tyre Alexander with the daily woo, Ric Flair. There you go. Also, thank you, Ms. Wildwolf, Resolute Germ, and Tyre Alexander for retweeting my post of the show. Ms. Wildwolf, the little kitty doing that little disco dance. Okay, let's go. The Daily Wrestler. I don't know this particular wrestler. Is that Tori? I don't know. Resolute Germ, tell me who that is, please. I have no idea. No, that's not Tori. Who is that? I don't know who this wrestler is. Is it a wrestler or a wrestler's girlfriend? I think it's a wrestler. I don't know her name. Also, let's see. Mike Savage, Mike Savage, let's go. And other people just, everyone just, a lot of people just replying to some other shit that I put online. Good morning, Roasted Opinions. How you doing? All right, let's get back into the show now. Let's see. We did the Superman. Oh, are any of y'all following the Diddy trial? Holy smokes! Have you been? I've been every once in a while. I just run across one of the updates on this Diddy trial, and they pretty much someone named Cassie's been on the stand for the last 2 days. Oh my Lord! I don't want to even go into it because I don't know if I can say some of this shit on YouTube. It's like freaky deaky stuff. But if you want updates on this, oh, by the way, this is interesting. Deep State, why do members of James Comey's family get all of the sensitive DOJ cases? His daughter managed to convict Ghislaine Maxwell without having to provide the name of a single client. She has lost the key witness in the Diddy case. Now we learn his son-in-law is handling the Abbygate bomber case after we learned that members of the Biden administration were implicated. Can we just move on? Let the Comeys return to private life? No, I think they should return to something with bars in front of it. But anyway, that wasn't the point about the Diddy Cassie case. Some of the stuff they're talking about, I've got two trending topic tabs open for this particular one, but I'm not all that interested in this case, other than if they can convict him and then also then find start indicting people in the Epstein cases, that would be awesome. But the list of people that they've mentioned being at these Diddy parties so far too is pretty fascinating, including one. Kamala Harris was at a Diddy party. Now, and who knows if she was at the Diddy party, the after party, the freak-offs. I don't know. But she was at Diddy parties, and LeBron James and Will Smith and all these, Jay-Z, Kanye, all these people have been at these Diddy parties. It doesn't tell you who was staying late, though, if you know what I mean. So anyway, but if you want to get caught up on this, I have a separate post of someone named Megan Basham. I guess she's following the case. And if you really are really interested, then you can play this video here. I listened to some of it, but I've already heard most of what's going on in there. But we're not going to do that on this show. Hassan Piker was that one. Was he? Oh, there you go. So anyway, yep, we have known for a while now that is why she was trying to push it under the rug, and even as far as to say she was, oh, really? Oh, this Cassie lady? Yeah, oh, and her husband had to watch some of this, or is listening to this testimony, very graphic testimony, shit you can't say on TV. It's wild. I'm not going to play it. Let's move on. Oh, wait, what is this? Oh, this is the next news item that's... people are going to lose their minds over about this next news item. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know what? Well, let me just read it. It's regarding Carmelo Anthony, the young man who stabbed the kid down in Frisco, Texas. Austin. What's his name? I can't think of his name. Austin. I don't know what his last name is. Anyway, Carmelo Anthony's going to graduate high school with full credit while awaiting a trial for murder. Now, I would love to be outraged about this, but I'm not. He's on trial for murder, innocent until proven guilty, whatever. Not Austin Powers, Lord Stanhope. Good morning, by the way. Accused murderer Carmelo Anthony, on top of raking in more than $500,000 and getting his own security detail, which, no, look. Yes, the raking in, I get it. People are mad about that. I still say that probably his parents probably need, I'm assuming, okay, I'm not going to get into that. I don't care. Because this is kind of wild. Will be allowed to graduate high school with full credit while he awaits his trial for stabbing another teenager to death at a high school track meet back in early April. According to WFAA, Anthony's family and Next Generation Action Network, why is this Next Generation Action Network, this felon dude that's helping them, they need to get rid of that asshole. Austin Metcalf, thank you. I mean, he did complete high school before he did it. Yes, he did. Well, no, not quite, because it's not over. He might get accepted, get a full scholarship to Prison U. That's probably true. Anyway, let me read this thing before I start going in the comments again. According to WFA, Anthony's family and Next Generation Action Network, a race-baiting activist group. I guess that's in a way that's accurate. It is helped negotiate a deal for the accused murderer to receive his diploma from Frisco Centennial High School while under house arrest, which he's been on since getting out of jail on a $250,000 bond. NGAN, which is Next Generation Action Network, released a statement saying that the group can confirm that Carmelo Anthony will graduate with full credit and a diploma in hand, despite Anthony having missed the last month and a half of the academic year, what with his being stuck home on murder charges and all. So are they going to make him complete his work from home at least? Why would you be able to graduate if you don't complete the work from your senior year in school? I'm not sure about that. Anyway, here's the quote. We are proud to share that Carmelo Anthony will graduate and receive his high school diploma and that his academic achievements will not be disrupted. Well, here's the deal. He's not a dumb kid. He's, apparently he has like a 3.7 grade point average, whatever. He's not a dumb kid. But I just don't understand how you cannot finish the school year and still get your diploma. I'm confused. Unless he's doing his schoolwork, unless someone's like the school sending him his schoolwork. I don't know. But I would think that, just the knife alone would cause a problem. That you had the knife, not that you stabbed somebody with it, even though that's the biggest problem. But the fact that you had the knife that you're not supposed to have on school events, properties, whatever, I don't get it. Let me finish this. What else they say? NGA has worked diligently alongside the Anthony family's legal team to bring about this fair and student-focused resolution. This is a moment of dignity for Carmelo and a reminder of the power of advocacy done right. So that's the quote from the NGAN, National Next Generation Action Network. This is, by the way, the guy's just an Al Sharpton wannabe, even stealing the term Action Network. So anyway, notably, Frisco ISD Superintendent Mike Waldrop, Dr. Mike Waldrop, confirmed in an email to Centennial High School staff that Anthony will not be walking on the stage at graduation. Well, at least they made one good decision here. If he finishes work, he's a smart kid. It may be the fact that, with the month left at school, he might have done enough work to graduate anyway. My senior year, my second semester senior year, I only took classes because I wanted to finish off my music classes, which was the best part of my school. But I could have graduated a semester early. So, it's possible. Anyway, what are we doing here? Quote, I want to be clear. This is the superintendent saying, no student who commits a serious criminal offense, Title V felony, is permitted to participate in the graduation ceremony. Additionally, anyone who trespasses on Frisco ISD property or at a district event will be subject to immediate removal and possible arrest by law enforcement. Waldrop wrote, Frisco ISD does not condone violence or crime in our schools or at our events and will not reward or celebrate those who hurt others, which, given Anthony's proclivity towards bringing knives to school events and leaving other kids bleeding out in the dirt while their loved ones stand there screaming, is probably a mercy for everybody. So anyway, yeah, he doesn't belong. He's not walking across stage at graduation. They're just going to probably, mail him his diploma or some shit. All right, next, Middle East is trending. Lots of stuff about the Middle East because Donald Trump is in the Middle East. And when wherever Donald Trump goes, wherever Donald Trump goes or whatever Donald Trump says, it trends on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. And the media write extensively about it, which, I found something funny today. And let me just, let me show you this before I move on. Because something that someone wrote, that people were talking about, Joe Biden, the book on Joe Biden that's coming out from Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper, right? And one of these dummies, I'm sounding like Fred Sanford. One of these dummies, what did he say? Oh, here it is. So I'll come. I don't know why I'm doing this now, but it has to do with the Middle East and Donald Trump. So Alex Thompson, and I'll get to this more in depth later, but says new Biden cabinet members tell Jake Tapper that for 4 months we didn't have access to him, blah, blah, blah. Talking about this book about Joe Biden and his decline while he was in office, his mental decline. And this guy, Jason Bell, says, good Lord, you two idiots are pathetic. Would be nice if you covered the current president that's destroying our country over shifting all over someone who isn't even in office, or shitting over someone who isn't even in office, right? Saying, oh, why are you writing a book about Joe Biden when Donald Trump is destroying our country? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. What do you mean they're not covering Donald Trump? Donald Trump stands in front of the press every day and takes questions every day at every opportunity. Anytime he's walking around, the press starts going, he stops and talks to him. The press secretary does daily press briefings. Trump talks to him himself. He'll pop into a press briefing. He'd say shit before he gets on the airplane. He'll say stuff every time he meets with someone. He takes questions constantly from a press who is actually pretty hostile to him for the most part. There's a few, they got a few of them ringers in there from the right-wing media, but mostly it's questions from the hostile left-wing press. The idea that Donald Trump is not being covered, you can't go 15 minutes with another article about Donald Trump coming out. They talk about him constantly on CNN. They talk about him constantly on MSNBC. They talk about him on Fox, ABC, NBC. All these. The idea that Donald Trump is not being covered, maybe the dumbest shit I ever heard. Okay, not the dumbest, but certainly in the top, echelon of dumb things being said. But anyway, Donald Trump is in the Middle East, so they're talking about that a lot, which to some people are saying nice things about it. For example, here's one. George W. Bush spent over 7 years trying to change the Middle East with bombs and tanks, and he failed miserably. President Trump changed the Middle East in 3 days using strength and respect, which that sounds pretty good. But anyway, Donald Trump's over in over there in the sand dunes. And someone asked me yesterday if I saw the speech from Saudi Arabia. That Avocats Diablo asked me that yesterday, and I hadn't. And I don't know if it's if they even linked it in this article. I hope they did. His speech. Here, I'm going to put a link to the speech. Here's WhiteHouse.gov. Here's the is that the transcript of the speech? President Donald Trump just wrapped up a major address of reality in Saudi Arabia, where he outlined an optimistic vision for the future of the Middle East and his approach to achieving a more stable region and peaceful world. And then they got a list of the top moments. So, and they have links to where you can watch it. So there you go. But anyway, here's how the Federalists covered the speech. First of all, Trump's Riyadh speech heralds the end of failed neocon foreign policy. Hey, I'm all up for that right away, right? Truly looking out for American interests means refraining from trying to remake foreign countries in our own image. Oh, damn. Hello, by the way, Midnight in Exile. Wait, there is one and only one nation we should be building. Yeah. In what is probably the most important presidential speech in decades, President Donald Trump repudiated the decades of failed interventionist U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East during an official visit to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. Not only did Trump lambast neocon nation building in the region, he more or less vowed never to pursue the kinds of neocon misadventures that spilled American blood and treasure over the past 25 years in the insane pursuit of creating a Western liberal democracies in the Middle East. In a stark, unmistakable terms. Wait, what he says donation. As opposed to what? In stark and unmistakable terms, the president reminded the world of the abject failure of decades of neocon and liberal interventionist U.S. foreign policy under both Democrat and Republican leadership. He specifically called out the trillions of U.S. tax dollars wasted in totally unsuccessful attempts to turn Iraq and Afghanistan into Western-style democracies as part of the global war on terror. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves, Trump said. The gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions failing to develop Kabul and Baghdad. His speech, which came after a meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and the signing of economic agreements totaling $600 billion in new trade deals, heralds a new approach not just to Mid-East politics, but to American foreign policy generally. By disavowing the nation-building ideology of the neocons and liberal interventionists that dominated U.S. foreign policy under Bush, Obama, and Biden presidencies, Trump articulated a vision of American engagement with the world that is both more tolerant, more transactional, and less concerned with internal affairs of other nations. In other words, Trump's vision of American foreign policy isn't driven by a zeal to remake the world into some version of a liberal Western democracy. In Riyadh, he was saying that Saudi Arabia and other Arab states can just be Islamic monarchies as long as they present no threat to American interests, and as long as they promote peace and stability, then we can do business with them. So that's a good start, right? And you can read the rest of the article yourself or watch clips from the speech. But I like that. I don't think we need to build liberal democracies everywhere. And as long as they're not fucking with us all the time, and they're not trying to kill other people, we should be able to do business with them and let them be them. Except, he did try to make that thing about stopping being gay illegal in some places in the UN, but that's human rights shit that they should be concerned about and whatever. So anyway, yeah, it sounds good. And so it has Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Qatar is trending. By the way, there's a couple. Well, the Qatar thing though, not guitar, but Qatar. There's some questions about that one, but. Some of the reaction on, let's see, someone here. This is, what's her name? Batya Ungar Sargan. I can admit I don't like the Qatar plane. Can Democrats admit that what the president achieved this week, getting $2 trillion committed to the U.S. from Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and laying out a new model for peace through strength and commerce, were huge wins for this country. So this is CNN, where the everyone's kind of mad about the plane still.
By the way, I don't like the plane. I disagree with you. I think it's a big deal.
I don't know why this is happening.
I don't think there's such a thing as a $400 million gift.
It will not. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. So about this $400 million plane too, the Qataris seem to think that that's overblown too. But let's listen to this first.
I don't like the plane. I disagree with you. I think it's a big deal. I don't think there's such a thing as a $400 million gift. It's a bribe. I don't think Donald Trump would do anything in exchange for it, but the Qataris certainly think they will get something out of it. I can admit that. Can you all admit that what he just accomplished in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia, attracting $2 trillion of investment into this country, is a huge deal, and that what he accomplished in his speech, laying out a new world order based on peace through commerce and peace through strength, is a huge deal, that these are gifts to the United States.
Hold on. Look at this face that they put on the screen. This woman, or is it? Look at her face while she's talking. She's like, she is just, it's almost like she's just bubbling up inside. Like, no, I don't want to admit anything.
Through commerce and peace through strength is a huge deal, that these are gifts to the United States, the likes of which it's very hard to imagine anybody else being able to do. Can we all create a consensus here that the plane is bad and the trip has been amazing for the United States?
No, I don't want to do that, because it would mean that I would have to say something nice about President Trump. By the way, this is funny. What did Qatar want from you? Here's one from, this is when, I don't remember when this was. Oh, because Hillary Clinton. No, here, listen to this. Hillary Clinton points out, no one gives someone a $400 million jet for free without expecting anything in return. Be serious. Oh, really? Really, Hillary? Let me read something here. The Clinton Foundation has confirmed it accepted a $1 million gift from Qatar while Hillary Clinton was U.S. Secretary of State without informing the State Department, even though she had promised to let the agency review new or significantly increased support from foreign governments. Qatari officials pledged the money in 2011 to mark the 65th birthday of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's husband, and sought to meet the former U.S. president in person the following year to present him a check, according to an email from the foundation official to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign chairman, John Podesta. The email, among thousands hacked from Podesta's account, was published last month by WikiLeaks. So shut the actual fuck up, you hypocritical bitch. Anyway, oh, and there's this is pictures of how they welcomed President Trump to Qatar, giving Trump throughout the city American flags, just everywhere. They were putting out the stuff there. Anyway, so here, let's talk about Qatar real quick. White House and Trump, Qataris, this is what they're talking about. This is a $1.2 trillion investment. The White House announced Wednesday that the United States and Qatar have reached an agreement that will generate at least $1.2 trillion in economic exchange. Now, when they say exchange, that means that's both ways. I'm curious. Trump signed the deal in Doha during the second leg of his Middle East trip this week after departing Saudi Arabia earlier in the day. Today in Qatar, President Donald J. Trump signed an agreement with Qatar to generate an economic exchange worth at least $1.2 trillion, the White House noted in a fact sheet. In addition to the agreement, the document states U.S. and Qatar companies have come to terms on economic deals equaling $243.5 billion with the B. The $243.5 billion in deals between the nations is headlined by Qatar Airways' $96 billion agreement with Boeing and GE Aerospace to buy as many as 210 American-made Boeing 787 Dreamliner and 777X aircrafts powered by GE Aerospace engines, a White House fact sheet noted. So they're they got a big deal with Boeing. They might get those planes by 2070, but still. This marks a record-breaking order for Boeing. This is Boeing's largest ever wide-body order and largest ever 787 order. According to the White House, this historic agreement will support 154,000 U.S. jobs annually, totaling over 1 million jobs in the United States during the course of the production and delivery of this deal. So that's a big deal. Other deals the administration is touting include 30 projects totaling $97 billion that Parsons Corporation has won, and a joint venture agreement between Al Rabin Capital and Quantinuum to invest up to $1 billion in state-of-the-art quantum technologies and workforce developments in the United States. This is kind of undermining China a little bit too, because they're doing a lot of that quantum computing stuff. They're going to start doing it in the Middle East instead of in China.
China is asshole.
So that's a big deal. Qatar and the United States have entered into a joint declaration of cooperation on Wednesday, which Trump and the Emir of Qatar Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani signed. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, the Qatari official, also signed a statement of intent for defense cooperation between the nations. Hegseth and the official also signed a deal where Qatar agrees to nearly $2 billion purchase of the MQ-9B remotely operated aircraft from General Atomics. Additionally, Qatar is acquiring counter-drone capabilities from Raytheon in a $1 billion agreement. So they're going to be buying a lot of shit from us. Let's just put it that way. And which will support millions of jobs, apparently. So there you go. Now, the rub against Qatar, though, it may be the fact that the Qatari prime minister, or whatever they call him, is not, they're not super Israel friendly, which although Donald Trump seems to be distancing himself, at least from Netanyahu, not Israel. Which is a whole nother story. Anyway, on Wednesday, on Wednesday's broadcast, Fox News Channel special report, Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani, their names are too damn long, stated that a deal between Israel and Hamas can't be reached when there's a fundamental difference between the two parties. One party wants just to retrieve the hostages and continue the war, and the other party wants to end the war and doesn't think about the hostages. In other words, they're at an impasse. Al-Thani said, relevant remarks begin around 5:10, that he's glad to see hostage Eden Alexander released and required a lot of pressure to accomplish. He continued, now we wanted this to be also as a first step towards having a complete hostage deal. Unfortunately, the next day being followed by a massacre on a hospital in Gaza. A massacre? You mean that when they found one of the leaders there and took him out? Anyway. Host Brett Baer then cut in to say, obviously, the Israelis obviously say we're going to after senior Hamas leadership. Al-Thani responded, yeah, but going after a senior Hamas leader doesn't mean killing 70 people just as collateral damage, which has been the justification for the last year and a half. We cannot reach a deal when we have two different, fundamental difference between the two parties. One party wants to retrieve the hostages and continue the war, and other party wants to end the war and doesn't think about the hostages. Well, yeah, that's, look, I'm trying to think if there's ever been a war in the history of human beings that has not had collateral damage. Find a way to finish the war, and there will be no more collateral damage. It sucks, but that's kind of a fact of war, isn't it? Maybe I'm just confused. All right, let's move on. Also, Syria's trending again. We talked about Syria already. But one of the Middle East hawks who writes for Front Page has an interesting take on this, where he says Trump shocks the world again. This is by Robert Spencer. No fan of anything that has to do with Muslims. He says the peace and stability of the Middle East and the entire world are riding upon the president's successes. Trump has done it again. That much is clear. He has outmaneuvered and outthought everyone else, and he did what many others assumed to be impossible. But what exactly has he done? On Wednesday morning during his trip to Saudi Arabia, Trump met with Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa, who from 2017 until January of this year was known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani. Al-Shara was the leader of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, the Syrian Liberation Group, a Sunni jihad group that had been linked to al-Qaeda and was working to overthrow Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. In January 2025, HTS finally attained its goal. Assad fled to Russia. Al-Julani took control in Damascus and announced that he was establishing a regime that would respect the rights of all Syrians. He insisted he had broken with al-Qaeda years before, and to signify that he was a new man, he shed his nom de guerre and reverted to his birth name. He trimmed his beard, took off his fatigues, and donned a suit. Yet almost immediately, al-Shara's attempts to construct a new image for himself foundered upon a harsh reality. His forces were involved in mass killings of members of the Alawite sect. Since Bashar Assad was Alawite, this sect was associated with the old regime. As recently as March 7th, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz declared that al-Shara was behind it. Al-Julani took off his galabia, put on a suit, and presented a moderate facade. Now he has removed the mask, revealing his true face, a jihadist terrorist from the al-Qaeda school committing atrocities against Alawite civilian population. Al-Shara, however, condemned the killings and vowed to punish those responsible, even if they were his own men, saying, "Syria is a state of law. The law will take its course on all. We fought to defend the oppressed, and we won't accept that any blood be shed unjustly and goes without punishment or accountability, even among those closest to us." So that's interesting. That's interesting that he seems to be trying, at least on the face of it, right? Now, how since is al-Shara? Is he still a jihadist practicing Muhammad's dictum, war as deceit? Or does he genuinely wish to establish a regime in Syria that will ensure the rights of all people? Donald Trump is giving him a chance to put up or shut up. Trump made it clear throughout the 2024 presidential campaign he was determined to end the cycle of endless wars and establish a new era of peace. He repeatedly made it clear that this would involve challenging what the foreign policy establishment has long held to be unquestionable truths and finding new ways to reach accords with previously hostile entities based on common interest. In many ways, Trump's meeting with al-Shara is momentous and could be more momentous than his first-term overtures to Kim Jong-un. The two meetings come from the same wellsprings. Trump is attempting to break long-standing logjams and end the status quo that the foreign policy establishment, both inside the U.S. and elsewhere, had come to take for granted. NBC News reported Wednesday that Trump announced, quote, we are currently exploring normalizing relations with Syria's new government, as you know, beginning with my meeting with President Ahmed al-Shara, yet he has not proceeded without asking certain things of al-Shara as well. NBC reported that he encouraged the Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara to recognize Israel's statehood, which that takes some balls, right? Doesn't it? Trump explained to al-Shara that he had a tremendous opportunity to do something historic in his country. The president urged the Syrian leader to sign on to the Abraham Accords. He also advised Shara to tell foreign terrorists to leave Syria, deport Palestinian terrorists, help the U.S. prevent the resurgence of Islamic State, and assume responsibility for Islamic State detention centers in Syria's northeast. Trump declared that he wanted to give Syria a chance at greatness. So Trump wants to make peace with old foes based on mutual economic interest. He is giving al-Shara a chance to demonstrate that he really is no longer a jihadi and wants to build a stable and prosperous Syria. It could happen. A global jihad, although it is ignored everywhere, continues nevertheless. It never goes away. Individuals and states, however, can and do put it aside for considerable periods in order to pursue other interests. And so a reminder how difficult this will be, however, became in the fact that, as NBC noted, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was also present, and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan joined by phone. The presence of Erdogan on the phone was a reminder that al-Shara has been propped up by Turkish forces and that many see his forces in Syria as a tool of Erdogan's interest in restoring the Ottoman Caliphate. This is a matter Trump may well have to deal with before too long, whether or not al-Shara is sincere in renouncing jihad, Erdogan seems to be moving in the opposite direction. Nevertheless, Trump's attempt to create peace based on common interest and move beyond the present logjam is as welcome as it is audacious. Once again, Trump appears to be way ahead of everyone else, as he was when he established the Abraham Accords, even as John Kerry was confidently telling the world that such a thing was impossible. So that's a big deal. Trump playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. We'll see what happens. Let's see how this goes. Good morning, Gun Fox. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Lord Stanhope, I think you were here earlier. And anyone else show up? All right. Enough of that. Oh, by the way, speaking of jihad, I don't know if I talked about this yesterday. The Justice Department charges ex-soldier with a plot to attack a U.S. base for ISIS. Former U.S. Army National Guard member Ammar Abu Majid Mohammed Sayed was arrested for planning an Islamic State-inspired mass shooting at a Michigan military base, charged with supporting a terrorist organization and distributing destructive device information. This happened in Warren, Michigan. The key note here is this defendant was stopped dead in his tracks as he conspired with others in planning a deadly attack on a U.S. military base here at home for IS, the Islamic State, according to the Justice Department. The arrest underscores the continued threat of radical Islam in the U.S., with adherents present even among military service members. Yay! Oh, my gosh. And we had a lot of people across our southern border that we have no idea who they are. So, cheers. And but the left wants to allow them to, complete military service and become American citizens so they can get some more voters. Holy shit. Yeah, Trump actually being a statesman. Yeah, and no one's going to get, at least no one in the media, the normal, the well-known media is going to give him credit for that shit. But it's amazing how he's been doing that. He did that in his first presidency, Sue, over there with the Abraham Accords, and now he's doing it with these guys. We'll see what happens. I hope that he's successful just to stick it in their fucking craws and to make the world better, of course. Now, what's funny, though, regarding his trip to the Middle East, Nobel Peace Prize is trending because, people are saying if his success in the Middle East should get him the Nobel Peace Prize, although it's only people on the right saying that, because damn well there's no chance that the Nobel Committee is going to give Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize. Plus the fact, why would he want that crap prize when it just doesn't mean shit anymore? Let's see. Someone here said, a reminder that Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize just for getting elected. Then there wasn't any single day of peace during his entire 8 years. In fact, he killed more people with drone strikes during his first year than Bush did in all 8 of his. Yeah, true. Hello, John Arnott. What's up? Everyone keeps saying Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. That's ridiculous. He doesn't deserve that embarrassment of an award ever since they gave it to Obama for being a brother. The Nobel Peace Prize has meant nothing but embarrassment. Trump deserves better. So I got to tell you, though, and here's, but if he did, would that make some heads explode? That would be amazing. I would, it would be just so fun if Donald Trump got the Nobel Peace Prize. Hello, Aaron Meredith, by the way. All right, let's move on. I'm getting a lot done. I'm getting a lot done today. I might get through my list. Tulsi Gabbard's trending. Why? I'm not 100% sure. Oh, I know why. Because she fired some people in the national intelligence community that and John Brennan is not happy about. John Brennan. I'm just because he's this piece of crap. John Brennan is blowing a gasket over Tulsi Gabbard's firing of deep state heads of the National Intelligence Council. The whole thing makes me livid. Brennan's rage serves as a ringing endorsement. Here's John Brennan pissed off about Tulsi Gabbard. On probably, I'm going to guess, is he on MSNBC? Who knows?
This whole thing just makes me livid.
Oh,
it's appalling and outrageous.
Poor
and
John.
Demonstrates why Tulsi Gabbard never should have been confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. Michael Collins and Marie Langen-Reichoff are two of the most experienced, accomplished, and talented analysts in the entire U.S. intelligence community.
John. John. Now I know they should have been fired because you're defending them. Hello, Reacción Puerto Rico.
Community with over 60 years of combined experience.
Their years of experience mean shit to me if their experience makes them an ally of you. That tells me there's something wrong with them.
They have worked for successive administrations since the 1990s.
Don't care, John. You lied in front of Congress, and you were there for how many years? 30, 40 years yourself? And then you went to Congress and lied. You made up some bullshit about some laptop. You put your name on shit that you should have never put your name on, and now you're talking about these people. You're really mad about them being fired because that just tells me she was right.
They have demonstrated time and time again their capabilities, their competence, their integrity, and they have served as role models for a generation of intelligence officers inside of CIA.
And now they're
CIA
gone.
Officers by background and by training. And
that's a problem. Wait a minute. Is that a feature or a bug, John? Is that a feature or a bug? Because, the CIA has done some crazy shit. Allegedly.
And this is going to have real reverberations within the workforce because, as Congressman Hines pointed out, it's clearly a signal to tell analysts throughout the intelligence community, you tell the truth, you provide objective analysis as you're supposed to be doing, you are running the risk of
objective analysis.
Getting fired. And Michael and Maria are really the quintessential analysts that you want to have providing insight and information and analysis to policymakers so they make the right decisions for U.S. policymakers. But this is a very tangible example of such dangerous and insidious corruption within the Trump administration.
How is it corruption? Like I said, someone says Tulsi must be over the target. Sounds like it. Here's Tulsi Gabbard herself putting her own link here. Privacy is essential in individual liberty. I delivered recorded remarks at the Privacy Symposium held in Venice this week, underscoring the importance of protecting American civil liberties and fundamental rights and freedom guaranteed by the United States Constitution. Our nation's founders understood that a government with unchecked power that is being abused to control and surveil its citizens is fundamentally not a government of a free people in a free society. I have also committed to upholding our God-given rights and freedoms enshrined in our Constitution, ensuring safety, security, and freedom for the American people. Good message there. Now, here's a... But again, how do you know? Oh, this is the same clip. How do you know Tulsi is doing a great job and her firing of swamp creatures was a great move? Listen to John Brennan. He is irate. John Brennan hates it, then it's good for America. I don't need to play it again. I'll just give you one of these. In the immortal words of... Who said this? I can't remember. In the immortal words of... Oh, Louise Jefferson. It was Louise Jefferson. In the immortal words of Louise Jefferson... Bye, bitches. Okay, she didn't really say that, but that was funny. All right, Medicaid's trending. Apparently this budget deal that they're working on in the Congress and the Senate, everyone's bitching about Medicaid, that they're doing some cuts to Medicaid. And Robert Kennedy was being, I guess, in front of a Senate committee or a House committee or some shit. And they started raking over the coals about Medicaid. And so here's one of, I'll give you one of the, this is one of the people who were grilling him. And all these cuts to Medicaid are apparently people that either were getting Medicaid in more than one state, or they were getting it illegally, or a bunch of illegal aliens. They're talking about these cuts to Medicaid, and there are people who are not supposed to be getting Medicaid. So here's, I think this is the clip. I hope I got the right one here. Here's Robert Kennedy in the congressional hearing.
So do you disagree with the cuts that are being proposed for Medicaid right now?
Oh, the cuts to, this is I don't know if you understand this or whether you're just mouthing, the Democratic talking points. The cuts to Medicaid are for fraud, waste, and abuse. And I'll tell you what that means. It means that because of Doge, we were able to determine, and it's about 8 million people who will be affected.
8 million people.
Because of Doge, we were able to determine that there are 1 million people who are claiming Medicaid from multiple states. That's illegal.
That's a no-no.
It's theft. You're not allowed to do that. There are another 1 million people who are collecting both under Obamacare and
Mr. Secretary, that has nothing to do with the budget that's
These are the only cuts.
Sure it does. Of course it does. If they're doing it, oh my God! I'm sorry. I'm gonna let him finish here.
These are the only cuts that are being made to Medicaid.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. There are another 1 million illegal aliens. We announced a law yesterday, a rule yesterday. We're not going to pay illegal aliens.
No more
anymore.
Medicaid for illegal aliens.
This morning, he said we're going to take all the illegal aliens off the California Medicaid rolls because the feds aren't paying for them anymore. So the compassion ends.
Secretary, let me focus you on the actual numbers of the budget that's being proposed. Secretary, I regain my time. I think what you are saying is absolutely inaccurate in terms of the 13 million Americans that will lose access to health care. Let me tell you, the folks in my district are not actually getting Medicaid in another state. They can't travel to get it in another state. The clinics that are providing that life-saving care are the last resort for folks in our area.
Let me tell you the last category. Last category is adults who are able-bodied, who refuse to look for a job, to volunteer, to get a job, or to show that they
because that's going to be a requirement for receiving Medicaid.
I agree with them. That is absolutely not true. The vast majority of folks in a community like mine who are on Medicaid are working. They want to work.
Well, who said now? Yeah, he's saying that. Are they cutting Medicaid from those people though? That he's not. He's assuming. Why would you assume that they're cutting it from those people if they're telling you where the cuts are? So anyway, the clip's here in the links. I'm not going to let it go on anymore. But here's about that Senate, about the big beautiful bill, the budget bill. It's some of the hawks in the Senate, or some of the some of the people in the Senate are causing this to face some uncertainty. Senate Republicans have expressed concerns over the House One Big Beautiful Bill aimed at tackling President Donald Trump's wishes. The Senate wanted to change the bill. Maybe Senate Republicans will add in more spending cuts. I'm not holding my breath, even though Senator Ron Johnson wants it to happen. The frequently cantankerous Wisconsin senator is pushing his fellow Republicans to deliver huge spending cuts as part of their party-line domestic policy bill, and vowing to block President Donald Trump's top legislative priority if his demands, which are shared by a small cadre of fiscal hawks, aren't met. And I'm fine with that. If they want to make more cuts, bring it, baby, bring it. I'm just saying. As for the mega bill, as the mega bill moves through the House, Johnson's increasingly vocal warnings are an early indicator for Senate GOP leaders and the White House that they've got major headaches awaiting across the Capitol. Senate Republicans can only afford 3 defections on the expected party line vote. I think there's enough of us that would say, no, that's not adequate, Johnson said in an interview where he describes his insistence on returning the federal government to pre-pandemic level spending, which, yes, oh, please, oh, God, I got a little heart flutter there. Republicans swore $2 trillion in cuts. Did anyone believe them? Not me. Of course they're having problems hitting $1.5 trillion in cuts. Johnson and other fiscal hawks in the Senate want it to go further than $2 trillion. I wish he was my senator. I have Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith. Holy fuck. Anyway, Johnson wants the Senate to perform an obviously important task, investigate the federal budget line by line. What a concept. That's what they should be doing always. Anyway, you got my point. Thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico, dropping a 5 spot via YouTube Super Chat. It says, Tulsi was the commanding officer of a psychological operations unit. She knows in which closets to look. Yes, she does. Thank you for sponsoring the show, sir. Let's see. What was the next one here? And you know how for the longest time during the beginning of the Trump administration, they were bitching about the price of eggs, right? Oh, he's not bringing the price of eggs down. Well, now apparently this is CNN is saying the falling egg prices, which have come down 18% in the last month again, might be a bad thing. Unbelievable. The whole story is that the president is lying about egg prices going down, but egg prices are going down. Give me a break, CNN. You can't just make shit up. Trump egg price fiction has suddenly become a reality. What a lead headline, whatever the fuck you want to call it. For months, President Donald Trump was falsely claimed that egg prices were tumbling. It wasn't true then, but it's true now. Egg prices fell 12.7% last month, the biggest monthly decline since 1984. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported Tuesday, and they could continue to fall this month too. The USDA reported last week that a dozen eggs, white shell, whatever, cost $3.30 on average, down a whopping 69 cents from the week before. So anyway, what the hell kind of headline is that? That's so funny. David Goldman's article admitted egg prices fell by 12.7% in March. Since March, then Goldman pointed out that eggs are 49.3% higher since April 2024, while leaving out a key point. Eggs were 60% higher in March 2025. 60% higher in March 2025 from March 2024. So that's still good news. That they're still down. But why is this bad news? I read the article over and over, and I just don't get it. Goldman ended with the article with this sentence. So Trump's claim that consumer egg prices are down is finally true, even if the timing of his claim and wild percentages he threw around were grossly inaccurate. They can't take a fucking win. That's the problem. They cannot take a win, the damn win. One of my problems with President Donald Trump is him promising to do this and do that right away, throwing out exaggerated numbers. Yeah, he's hyperbolic, but still, he's right. Thank you, Amazing Disgrace. Dropping $5 into the battery fund. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. For the Spanish battery fund. Yeah, we got to buy a couple extra batteries for Spain and maybe even have some spending money while we're there. So thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. All right, enough of that. I'm almost going to get through. What was the main topic today? Oh, it was, the Now You Tell Us. Well, here we go. By the way, South Africa's training. I'm going to skip South Africa for the moment. But by the way, South Africa's kind of become a shithole. But people are mad because these 59 South African refugees are here, right? And it's a fact that white farmers have been getting killed in South Africa. There's 1,400 of them have been murdered and land taken away from them. Right. So, I mean, the fact that has actually happened is true. And there's certainly one of the parties in South Africa, I think it's, what is it? I don't even remember what the party member is, but actually calls for the killing of whites in South Africa. So, I mean, it's not like it's not happening, but apparently it doesn't make news. And all the liberal pundits are just like, oh, this is not real, whatever. In fact, I have a clip from Don Lemon. Claiming it's not happening. In fact, they complain about how much land white people over there, whatever. It's just a shit show. Well, anyway, now that some of these small number of people, 59, right? Well, South Africa's president now is saying that Afrikaner refugees, he called them cowards for running away. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa slammed Afrikaner refugees who left for the United States on Tuesday, saying that it was cowardly for him to leave, racial discrimination, and threatened expropriation. Ramos spoke the day after the first flight of 49 white Afrikaners granted refugee status by the U.S. arrived in Washington, D.C. As many as 70,000 more have sought to apply to enter the U.S. border under this policy. Ramaphosa, who styles himself as a pro-business moderate, is set to speak to U.S. President Donald Trump later this month. He made the remark at a surprise visit at a local agricultural convention where he apparently aimed to change perceptions of the government as hostile to farmers, which they kind of are. They're taking their land. And look, every bit of land that takes farmland and gets takeover in South Africa is farmland that's not going to be used for farmland. I'm just telling you, they're going to cause their own. This is going to be like Zimbabwe when the Zimbabwe started taking the farmlands away from the farmers, and suddenly they were wondering, well, why is there no longer any food production in Zimbabwe? That's what's going to happen in South Africa. I guarantee it. Give it 3 or 4 years. And they're going to be complaining, well, wait a minute, we don't have any food production happening in South Africa. We don't have enough food being produced because you keep taking the farmers away, the people who are farming the land. You're taking their land away and they're not farming it anymore, you dumbasses. But anyway, let's see. Where was I? Apparently, you want aim to change perception of government hostile to farmers. One reinforced when he signed the Expropriation Act earlier this year, allowing the seizure of property without compensation. He said they may be feeling excited they've left the country. They've got somebody like U.S. President Donald Trump. But in the end, it's a group of South Africans demonstrating that the changes and transformations that we are embarking upon here, they are not favorably disposed to it. And that's why they are running away. Yeah, because you're taking their fucking shit. I mean, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to stay there and starve? And if you look at all national groups in our country, black and white, we've stayed in this country because it's our country, and we must not run away from our problems. We must stay here and solve our problems. So when you run away, you're a coward, and that's a real cowardly act, and I expect every South African to stay here, and we work together, and we solve our problems. Yeah, there's 1,400 dead farmers that aren't there to respond. Transformation refers to South Africa's policy of redistributing wealth by race under penalty of law. Ramaphosa's remarks were his strongest yet after claiming earlier that the refugees did not meet that definition. He said they were yearning to restore the racial segregation of apartheid and that they were running away from transformation, a claim echoed by his party. Now, by the way, Joel Pollack says, note that South Africa's ruling party denies Afrikaners are persecuted in the same paragraph that it accuses them of fleeing transformation, which is a process of racial redistribution enforced by laws. So, MYANC admits while denying the legitimacy of the Afrikaners' claims. I mean, it's the cognitive dissonance in the statements are really crazy. I'm just saying. So, but a lot of Americans, especially white liberals, are mad because the Afrikaners who are being coming here as refugees are white. So I don't get it. It's crazy. At least they're coming here legally, except, because remember at the border, if you know, it used to be if you knew the word asylum, well, you could do whatever the fuck you wanted. So that's that. Now, the main topic today, which I'm finally getting to, is regarding Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. They've written a book, and apparently it's coming out soon. And what's interesting here is Alex Thompson himself is previewing excerpts from the book as though he is a journalist who has read the book and is excerpting it, excerpting it. And he's doing it both on X and on Axios, the outlet he works for, instead of having somebody else do it. It's almost like he's talking about himself in the third person. But he posted this, was this morning, I believe? Yeah, no, he's posted this last night. And I have questions because it's crazy. Because so we're just going to go through this thread. It's not a long thread. It's a very short thread. But then there's also an article that accompanies the thread. In fact, let's just do the article because he's just basically excerpting his article. And the article's not very long. It's just that long. So we're going to go through it. New book. Now, it's funny because he has the byline here. Why not say new book that I wrote with Jake Tapper? But he's doing a news article about his own book. New book, Biden cabinet members were worried about his capacity in a crisis. And as the name of the show today, the title of the show today, oh, now you tell us. What if we would have had a crisis while he was there? This story is adapted from the forthcoming book, Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. Oh, his disastrous choice to run again? Disastrous for who? Worked out pretty good for America. By Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. Out May 20th. So it's coming out, wait a minute. It's coming out in 5 days. Here's how it goes. By the way, you two are journalists, right? In fact, Jake Tapper spent a lot of time defending President Biden's lack of mental decline, which is a lie. All right, let's go through this. In the last year of Joe Biden's presidency, some members of his cabinet lacked confidence the president could be relied on to respond to a crisis in the middle of the night. CNN Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson write in their new book, Original Sin. Again, he wrote this article himself about himself. Are you serious? Let me take a moment to take care of this first. Thank you, Pope Tire. Dropping a small bowl in the tip jar. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Pope Tire says, 1, the Holy Ghost is the blessed dead. 2, I hate when non-Americans call themselves black or white. To be those things, you have to be American of European or African descent. 3, South Africa don't want this American smoke. We need a weekend, and they be glass. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Pope Tire. All right, back to the story that Alex Thompson wrote about Alex Thompson writing a book. CNN, this is CNN, on Wednesday first reported that revelations from the book, I wonder if it was Jake Tapper who reported this, which also describes how Biden's inner circle shielded him from several cabinet members for months at a time in the 2023 and 2024. Oh, this was as far back as 2023. I remember when the entire campaign shielded himself from the American people in 2020. Anyway, why it matters. The authors reporting show that even as the White House was moving to assure the public and the media of Biden's fitness, top administration officials were worried about his decline in his final years of the presidency. Oh, you mean not the entire years of his presidency? The book is based on more than 200 interviews, mostly with Democrat insiders, almost all of which occurred after the 2024 election. Too much, too little, too late to ever try again. Driving the news. Several cabinet secretaries told the authors that they frequently were boxed out from access to Biden in 2023 and 2024 when the 81-year-old president was running for re-election. One cabinet secretary said Biden's top aides shielded him from every meeting from October 2023 on. The cabinet was kept at bay, the secretary said. You know, it's funny because I remember when the Easter Bunny kept the reporters at bay from Biden during an Easter egg roll. Anyway, 4 months, we didn't have access to him. There was clearly a deliberate strategy by the White House to have him meet with as few people as necessary, the cabinet secretary told the authors. Yeah, as if like we didn't all notice. Everyone's noticed this. How is it that you had to ask people in the White House about this? The idea that Biden was being shielded from everybody, especially the media. You, the media people, didn't notice that the media didn't get to talk to him very much? Compare that to the current president, who almost every day takes questions from the press. At a rare time, at one rare meeting during that time, the cabinet secretary was shocked by how the president was acting. Oh, shocked, because you didn't see it every time he made a public appearance. He seemed disoriented and out of it, his mouth agape, according to the book. So he looked normal for his presidency. The secretary added that Biden's staff wanted to keep him happy and shielded him from bad news. Oh my God! Maybe that's why he was oblivious. The staff did him wrong, the cabinet member said. If you were with him every day, you knew this was a problem. Why didn't you go to him and say something? Because they were getting to run the show in his place. Now I really question all his pardons. A second cabinet secretary told the authors access dropped off considerably in 2024, and I didn't interact with him as much. Instead of talking with Biden directly, the secretaries would speak with White House aides who then briefed Biden. A cabinet member thought the process was odd. Odd? It was bullshit. Thought it was odd and wondered if senior White House staff were filtering information to direct Biden's decisions. Oh, you think? Yes, the president is making decisions, but if the inner circle is shaping them in such a way, is it really a decision? Are they leading him to something? The second cabinet secretary recalled wondering. Now, the zoom out on this, I don't think he has dementia, said a third cabinet secretary. But the thing is, he's an old man. The president can give you 4 to 6 good hours a day. When he got tired, sloppy isn't the right word, but his guard was down. Wait a minute. Are those words you want to have someone saying about the president of the United States? Well, I don't think he has dementia. Jam. A third cabinet secretary said of the Biden's inner circle, it's hard for an advisor to be honest with the principal. If he had asked me, I would have told them, do one term and you're done to preserve your legacy, because he should have never ran again is what they're saying. They're more mad that he ran again and then had to screw things up with Kamala than the fact that they were hiding him from his own cabinet secretaries and the press. That's what they should be mad about. But no, that he ran again and caused Donald Trump to be returned to the White House. Now, what they're saying, who are they, Alex? A Biden spokesperson who declined to be identified told CNN, we continue to await anything that shows where Joe Biden had to make a presidential decision, or where national security was threatened, or where he was unable to do his job. In fact, the evidence points to the opposite. He was a very effective president. No. I don't believe that for a second. I believe his staff was doing everything. I believe Joe Biden stepped in. I believe, the usual shitbags from the former Obama White House were making decisions, and he was just, what should I sign now? I don't know. Here, let me nibble on your finger, Dr. Biden. And then the last 2 bullet points, Biden and former First Lady Jill Biden appeared on ABC's The View last week to push back on the reports about Biden's decline, and it was a failure. The people who wrote the book, wait a minute, this is them, the Biden's talking about the people who wrote the book. The people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. Joe Biden said he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop. Hey, Dr. Jill Biden, one of the worst doctors on the planet, by the way. Dr. Jill Biden, they interviewed cabinet secretaries. Now, maybe I'm a little off here, but I'm pretty sure that cabinet secretaries and staff, because remember, they interviewed, 130? What do you say up here? They interviewed, I think he said 130. They interviewed 130 people, cabinet secretaries and staff, and I bet a lot of those people were in the White House with the president. And in fact, the one cabinet secretary said that his interactions with the other people who were staff were hiding him from the cabinet secretary. So yes, they were in the White House with him, Jill. So anyway, there you go. That's the preview of the book, which does not looking good. Now, Jake Tapper's trending just because everyone's taking a dump on Jake Tapper for the fact that he's constantly, he was constantly defending Joe Biden about his mental state. You don't know that. Yeah, we do. We can see it, dumbass. All right. Let's see. A couple other articles that I have open, and then there's a bunch in the aggregator today. Just a couple headlines here. One in Colorado. Unlicensed illegal alien gets probation for killing a woman in a car accident. 2 years probation, which includes 100 hours of community service, required school, and a promise not to break any laws. He didn't have a fucking license. An Arapahoe District Attorney Office is coming to fire after it gave an unlicensed illegal alien teenager and a teenager 15 probation for killing a 24-year-old woman in a car accident. Now, I don't know what you do with a teenager, but he's an illegal alien teenager without a license who killed someone in a car accident. 2 years probation, which includes 100 hours of community service, required school, so we got to pay for his school too, and a promise not to break any laws. The accident happened last July in Aurora. The victim, Caitlin Weaver, was headed home from work when a Jeep barreled through a residential neighborhood, slammed into her car. Speed limit in the area was 45 miles an hour. Investigators say the driver was doing more than 90. Unlicensed teenager, illegal alien, doing 90 and a 45, kills a woman. Probation, 100 hours community service, stay in school. That the taxpayers pay for. What the fuck? You can read the rest yourself. I'm disgusted. The Daily Caller, hanging around their necks against long odds, GOP operatives have a plan to win 2026. What is that? Whether it's a 12-hour-long protest on Capitol steps about inflation, assaulting police officers during a protest at an ICE facility, or the threat of ousting the newly elected leadership of the DNC, it's safe to say that since Donald Trump retook the White House in November, Democrats have found themselves lost as a party, if not in total disarray. The Democrats' apparent lack of direction and constant infighting could help carry the GOP through the midterm cycle that, given historical trends, they appear destined to lose. Over more than a dozen interviews, party officials and GOP consultants told the Daily Caller that they have a plan to bring Republicans more victory in 2026, and they're fully intending on using the divisions in the Democratic Party to achieve that goal. There's an old rule in politics, and I tell my clients, which is when your opponent is committing suicide, stay out of the way, a national GOP operative told the caller. And that's what the Democrats are doing right now. So they're going to play on the Democrats' disarray and maybe highlight it more than that. And I don't know. You can read. There's a long article. I'm not reading all this shit. I do like the fact that there's a Harry Sisson tweet in here. Whoa, this is the overflow at Bernie Sanders and AOC's rally in Salt Lake City. Over 5,000 people in the overflow area. Trump should be terrified. I'm sure he's terrified. 30,000 people showed up to see the Bernie Sanders AOC in LA. This is absolutely remarkable. Yippee skippy. Yeah, they say a lot of dumb shit and just show the people what they said. All right. I was going to do some Instagram videos today, but I am out of time. I do want to do one though. Where's the one I wanted to do? Is this it? Hang on. Let's just do this one. I can't remember what this one is though. This is one of those things that drives me nuts about Democrats and left or whatever. Because look, I know I'm old, but I've been a Republican since 1984. And there's a lot of, even though I suppose I should say more small R Republican, or I'm small L libertarian, actually, like my political philosophy, right? Small L libertarian. But I generally vote Republican just because if I've got to vote for one of them, I'm going to vote for the one that's going to spend less money. And I like what Trump's done in the last, during his terms. This is one of those tropes that liberals love to bring about. And this is funny. So let's just listen to this young lady for a second, because what she says intrigues me, and it also is a very common theme among liberals and Democrats.
You know why we can't be friends, Republicans?
Why can't we be friends? Oh, we can't be friends. You mean I can't be friends with you? I'm devastated.
Because y'all get your news from a news channel that's described as, this is on their official website, by the way, Fox News being.
Whoa, wait. How do you know where I get my news from? Hang on.
A enjoyment and entertainment channel for personal use.
What was that little thing you did with your tongue? You're thinking, did that like make you want to give some blowjobs or something? You did that, you did that thing. What was that all about? Okay, that's the only part I wanted to play for you on this one. Why do they think that Republicans get their news from just Fox News? Does that make sense to y'all? I don't even have cable. I haven't had cable for at least 10 years. And, I know a lot of you say, oh, he's a boomer. He probably still watches. No, I don't watch that shit. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch CNBC or MSNBC or any of the networks' news. Now, I get clips of the news on the internet, and I read a lot of different sources. I read a lot of news from different places, but no, I don't get my news from Fox News. And I would guess that a vast majority of Republicans don't get their news from Fox News because a lot of people, guess what? We're just as hip and cool as you cool liberals, and we probably don't even have cable anymore. Who the fuck has cable? None of my friends have cable. My friends my age. No, I get most of my news from the internet, and I see all kinds of stories on X and whatever. What the fuck? But they all think, oh, they all watch Fox News 24 hours a day. Now, there may be some people who still do that, just like there's still people who watch CNN all day. Or, in fact, the older boomers that I know, a lot of them still watch CNN and MSNBC. All the old, the 70s and 60s, 70s hippies, they're all on MSNBC all day. The fact that you want to accuse all Republicans, okay, as getting their news from Fox News, you're a moron. Because we watch all kinds of stuff. Oh, FNS only watches The Soft Gentleman. Yeah, The Soft Gentleman's gone from YouTube. They kind of got banned. I can't imagine why. I just find that trope to be hilarious because you see it all the time. They're always saying, well, because you only watch Fox News. I don't watch Fox News. I would say a vast majority of the people who are prominent in the right or Republicans online or whatever don't watch Fox News. Although I do get a kick out of Gutfield Klebs because he's funny. He can be funny, not always, but or if Hotep Cheese is on, I'll watch the clips from the show. Or there'll be Fox News clips online. There'll be CNN clips online. There'll be MSNBC clips online. There'll be ABC, NBC, CBS News clips. I'm on the right, and I get my news from a hell of a variety of sources. So shut the fuck up about Fox News, you fucking morons. Okay, that was it. That's all I wanted to say. And on that note, maybe we'll call this a day. Thanks for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. Let me do this this one tab thing that I do every day. As you know, I put all the links into everything we did into a single tab on the internet that you can access. And if you're looking for some of the articles and stuff, they'll all be there. Speaking of which, there we go. Oops, there we go. Copy and paste. Here are the links for today's show. I'll also have them in the description for this stream and video. That's it. Got to go. Tomorrow, Free for All Friday. If you've got anything you want me to see, read, or whatever, do, put it in a direct message or an email. PDawgKnight@gmail.com, or I'm PDawgKnight everywhere else on the internet. So there you go. That's it. Got to go. Thanks. My name's PDawgKnight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.